on.
It does not appear to be, sir.
Okay. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started then. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and bring our city council work session to order for May 13th, 2024. The purpose of this council work session is for general discussion of issues facing the city of Monroe. This is a public and open work session, and expect a quorum. We have a quorum at this point of the city council is expected to be present. As a work session, there's no public comment and there's no public hearing or any decisions made. So we'll go ahead and get started. First item on the agenda would be short-term rentals.
I just keep it there because it's old business. And I think we're waiting to schedule a ordinance committee meeting to deal with that. That's the first item on that agenda. I just keeping it there as a placeholder.
Gotcha. And I could have sworn to you that I'd scheduled one, but apparently I didn't. Okay. That's where. Okay. The next item is the library IGA.
All right, so there's two items on here, one under review. This is old business continuing.
Right.
So as you remember, I'll just kind of recap previous episodes. We started the process of looking at the library intergovernmental agreement, or IGA, back in December of last year, and elected to notify the city of Corvallis, which runs library services for Monroe, with Benton County. So this is really the Benton County Corvallis library system, that we wanted to negotiate specifically janitorial costs, which the council at that time believed should be operational, not specific to the city of Monroe. So we did that, gave them notice, both Benton County and City of Corvallis notice that we were going to negotiate. And about every few weeks now, I've been meeting with the director, library director, Ashley Chavez. It's now, as of this week, I'm waiting to hear back from Chris, but if I don't, Chris Workman is the city manager for Philomath. They also have a branch library there as well, and has exactly the same concerns we have. And so the idea would be to meet at this point, meeting with Mark Shepard, who is the Corvallis city manager, in regard to the janitorial costs specifically. So in our letter to the city of Corvallis and to them, stated that we did not have an issue with the library services themselves, just that cost of the building per the IGA is fully borne by the city of Monroe and its citizens, its taxpayers, even though the tax base for the library, for all branch libraries, is a system budget, not just for Monroe. There's only, what I learned is there's only one budget for everybody, including the Corvallis Public Library, LC branch, Philomath. It all goes from the taxing district that you all have in your tax statements in 22. They all go to the city of Corvallis, to Benton County, which is then passed on to city of Corvallis, and city of Corvallis manages the budget for the Corvallis Public Library and for all the branches, as a total, as a system, as I've been told. At the moment, they do not have anything in the Corvallis budget for any branch operations. There is a small set aside in LC for electricity and a small set aside for floodplain insurance in Philomath. There's no set asides there is one for internet here in Monroe. So the internet and the doormats that cost is borne by the city of Corvallis. So that would be Aramark. You see their trucks running around. They're the ones that process doormats. So at this point, what the discussion is about how do we account for janitorial services that are a result of library activities, not a result of someone else the city of Monroe wants to be in a meeting room or not. The second issue that has been raised is the fact that there are some rooms get booked and some don't. And all rooms right now are to be reserved through this by our policy that you passed. Needs to be sent, the reservation needs to be made to the city hall. And Monroe City Hall looks at the policy and then decides whether they get charged or not. The IGA specifically says that currently that library activities, this would be like story time, or squishtivities, or Lego, or something that is a library, we are not to charge them. We're also not to charge them for Friends of the Library activities, which is specifically book sales and that type of thing. So those are the two things, but it also does not say in the IGA or in our room policy that anyone using the rooms can not reserve them. In other words, everyone who uses the rooms, regardless of what entity it is or for what purpose, needs to put an application into the city of Monroe saying, I'm going to be using the rooms on these dates. And the library is required to schedule. So that, if, for instance, on the 17th, we have an 8th grade party. The 8th grade party should have been reserved with the city of Monroe. It was not. It should have been charged the nonprofit rate because it's a private event. Our policy states that if our has been passed, that if you have a private, meaning not open to all the public event like that, and it's nonprofit, then you get charged the nonprofit rates for that, plus a deposit for wear and tear and that type of thing. That was never relayed to the school. So in conference with Mayor Sheets, we elected to go ahead and send a bill for the room to the city of Corvallis. The 8th grade class won't be charged for this, and the school has filled out an application and is adding us as an insured, named insured on the insurance policy. That's the other aspect of it. If you're going to have an event, you need to have insurance for it. Our insurance carriers are now being very, very strict on ensuring that we have insurance. So all those things need to go into place, and that's why we want the reservation process when you put the application in to go into City Hall so it can be reviewed, make sure we have everything signed off. We know about it. We can make sure that our staff are aware, clean up, the whole thing to make sure that's all done. But what we're finding is that's not the case. A lot of meetings go on over there that we have absolutely no clue are going on until after the fact. Money is being collected and being given, and applications that are being given to us a week after it happens. So that is under discussion, and that will be directly discussed with Mark Shepard, because that certainly is a violation of city policy to do that, and it puts the city at risk for certain activities. Because our insurance carrier will be asking us, did we know about this and what did we do?
I have a quick question about the 8th grade use of the library and the facilities in the library. I did receive an email, I think, from a resident in the community about that. I think we all did. It was just weird that it came across my personal email, but
Yes, from Christian Strand.
yeah.
I didn't get any of that.
What is a nonprofit rate then?
It's not very much. I think what we do is we did it by event. So if you want it for an entire day, it actually works. We have like $100 a day for an event. That would be for an entire day. So if you wanted an S per room, so they wanted both rooms, that would be $200.
For 8th grade graduation or whatever.
For any event, but not just 8th grade.
In this instance, it was 8th grade.
Yes.
I'm not sure it was for graduation, but it was an 8th grade event.
Yes, an 8th grade dance or some sort of event. Yes.
Okay.
They're considered a nonprofit and it's not open to the public. That's what our policy says. From the IGA viewpoint, it's still in progress.
And the IGA, it expires on June 30th.
30th, correct. Now, at this point, what does that mean? Usually if you're not going anywhere with it, I mean, the city of Monroe has never said that we do not want library services. I mean, that's been very clear from the council, that that's what you want. We're talking about costs of janitorial services due to the activities that are in the building. And it'd be the same if someone wanted to dance here or something else. We charge, it's the same policy. We went through and adopted the same policy for all of our rooms, not just the library. The library has a few exceptions because the IGA as written had exceptions that we had to modify our policy for. And we also included other things in there too, like activities could not disrupt library operations. And that we gave the librarians in that the authority to say, this isn't working, and, you know, to either terminate something or talk to us immediately to take care of it.
When's that meeting supposed to happen with?
If I don't get a word from Chris Workman tomorrow, I will make the appointment with him.
Is there any other conversations happened with Ashley Chavez?
She is unavailable for personal reasons
Oh, okay.
until the 17th, for the 9th of December. And that's the reason why she forwarded on. We kind of came to an end of our conversation. And so she went ahead and escalated it to her.
The exceptions, like the Friends of the Library and so forth, don't they still have to put out an application
Yes, they do. They should be reserving the rooms.
and getting us insured?
Right, and making sure that whatever they do, because if you have children in there, the city of Corvallis, and we confirmed that with Katie Durfee, who is our CIS representative, that you need to have a certificate of insurance and with our, as a named insured. So we also pursue that with Corvallis as well. These are no issues to get those COIs. Those are done with insurers all the time. So
Right, yeah, it's pretty easy to do. How is damage handled with those groups?
at the moment, it isn't. We, because of how it's written, they get the rooms free of charge.
But they're still responsible for damage, aren't they? I would definitely throw that away.
We definitely, that is part of the deal.
If they sign an agreement for it at no charge, that doesn't mean that they're not responsible for damage.
And that's why we want them to sign it. But at this point, we, at least at the director level, there's a resistance to do so. And that's fine because the director, it's now being escalated to the city manager.
Okay, thank you.
It'll be handled. I want that, and I want a signature saying that you're responsible for any damages, and City of Corvallis will need to pay for it, just as I will let them know that they will be getting the 8th grade charges.
Thank you. What about a nonprofit that's open to the public?
If it's a nonprofit group that is meeting if it's an event that is open to the public, they still have to sign and put a deposit down and make sure that's all cleaned up and everything else.
But they're not charged.
But they're not charged. Meetings, for instance, if the Corvallis fire group, and they have had, regional meetings
Right.
where the entire, we have Adair Village and Monroe and all that have come down, no issue. That is just something we provide. That's how our current policy is. And as a reminder, it is a resolution, it is a policy, and we
It can be modified or.
be modified. We can revisit it any time you wish. We did so initially, as you recall, to make sure that all of our buildings were treated the same, and we didn't have any discrepancies between our reservation policies.
Any other question? Lots, but I don't want to keep we're talking now. But
Yes, go ahead.
well, the only other question I have is janitorial services including the emptying? What if they fill a trash cans? I mean,
According to our policy, they're required to empty the trash cans. We give them instructions on how to do so.
thank you.
No, we have a very extensive checklist.
The only reason I'm asking is I was working over this weekend doing cleanup at the cemetery. There's personal trash and all their trash cans are all full.
I know. Now, as an example, this room was used for a Cinco de Mayo celebration Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. And here it is a day later and it looks pretty clean.
Yep.
And now our staff, I came in here and actually I redid the setup here.
Right.
But because we don't ask people to, set up all the things.
Just
Yeah.
tables and stuff, yeah.
We certainly do, make sure we have video here. There we go. That we certainly give the same folks the same checklist. So the folks here who clean this up and put all the tables and chairs and they put everything away, follow the same checklist as you would at the library.
You did a good job.
Yes, they did. Yeah. So as a result, we come in and check it the following day. And then, so Ron or Mark will come in, check it, and then let Dawn know. And then she releases the refund.
And that's part of the importance of getting the notifications from the library ahead of time, so we can schedule people to check afterwards.
Yes, exactly. Oh, and also be available in case there's an emergency or something.
Right,
else.
yeah.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why we need the notification.
And to make sure it's in good order for the next part.
Exactly, right. So everything's in order, ready to go. So there's story time the next day or whatever that the library is ready for the kids.
Any other questions? Harry?
No,
Counselor Myers? No?
no, I'm
Okay.
good.
Okay.
We will proceed. So the next, I hope to have another update for you with direction and information from my meeting with the city manager Shepherd at our council meeting on the 28th.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the next item, the City Hall seismic report.
As you remember, I talked about having an engineer come in, and I did. From Seismic Rehab out of Corvallis. It's a group of civil engineers. Looks like they're all Oregon State University grads. So that's kind of fun. If you're an Oregon State University person. That is. But Sean came down, and he's their principal and principal engineer. So he came down and looked at our building, did an assessment, and wrote me a letter, and he put his PE stamp on it.
Wow.
What does that mean? PE?
Professional engineer, that's when they certify things as being true, accurate, and
Got it.
I'm
Bonafide.
putting my name behind this, they're required to put a stamp on it.
Okay.
He probably didn't have to, but he did, so it's just kind of important. Grace, and I'll share this with you at council. I'll send the letter to you at council. He basically was very good, and he said in essence that I wouldn't be in this building if I were you. However, that's reading between the lines. He said that there's nothing that we can do that would be feasible, monetarily or otherwise, to bring this building up to seismic codes.
This one or the
City
I'm
Hall.
sure
City
this
Hall.
one too, but City Hall specifically, that's what we asked them to.
The one that's been ramjacked, like
Yeah, the
because
one
of
that
that.
Ramjack put the foundation.
Yeah.
He says the foundation is still in good shape. He says if you were to remove the terracotta brick and replace it with a wood structure, it would not only be much lighter, but they easily bring it to code on that same slab. He says, but he looked at it from two different viewpoints. One of them was removing the interior walls and putting up like 2x6 with what they call shield walls, which is like a plywood on the sides and some anchors on down below.
Bolting it.
He says he thought about that, and then when he did some rough calculations, it was like, this won't work.
Yep.
And the main reason is because in 2003, they put that roof that you see on there right now was added. It used to be a flat slope roof. And instead of removing the roof, which would have required the building to be brought up to codes, they just simply put the roof on top of the existing.
Does that go all the way to the, like, past the old library spot?
Yes, it does. The entire length and also on the back side over Public Works as well.
Okay, does it cover the fire department?
Yes. No, no, not the fire department. Yeah, no. Unfortunately for the fire department, it does have access to the seismic grants. Seismic grants are available, but they're only for first responders, like first fire departments, medical, paramedic, on.
Because aren't we connected there a little bit?
No,
Or we're disconnected?
there's about a 10-foot gap. 8 foot deck.
8 foot, yeah.
Yeah, 8 foot deck.
It's been a while since I walked over there.
Yeah, there's a little area behind there. We have some utilities back there. That's it.
Okay.
So that's the report.
So where does that leave us with the city hall building then?
The recommendation from the engineer was to level
Hmm.
it. And if you wish to rebuild it, do so. Put something on there. It says you could also use it to put a modular unit on there as well. It says that might be a good opportunity. We discussed that.
Quick turnaround part.
A quick turnaround because a ground level modular unit, and I'm thinking specifically of the ones they use for classrooms and that type of thing, could easily be moved on site. You could pick them up, they knew that, well, you can rent them, you can lease them, you can buy them. They're very easy to acquire. They can custom make them however you wish.
I think that's how the Halsey.
Yes, that's what they did. I mean, why? It's a very nice alternative.
Probably less expensive than.
Yeah,
stick built.
they did that and then they built onto it after they got it.
You can also leave the existing building and remove the reader building across the street and do the same thing.
Like that, it seems like it would be easier to take down a reader building. I mean,
And
it's
it-
basically a shed.
And it should be- and it should be.
Well, the only thing is there any foundation over there?
There's a slab over there. Yeah, there would need to be some repair on part of it, but we may not even want to do that. We might just want to take
We
it
don't
out
need
and reinforce it.
Yeah.
And put a 24 by 30-foot modular unit in there.
Does it have water and power over there?
Yes, it
Oh,
does.
perfect.
Yeah, it does. So absolutely. Yeah, so we have all the utilities right there. We have a meter.
But that might be.
Do we still have stuff stored in there?
We do, but it's all stuff that we've decided we put up for sale, the old sweeper unit, all that stuff that. we-
And all that old building part they've been removed, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And to our knowledge, there is a little bit of tile in there that might be suspiciously asbestos. But it's a very small amount, and I'd have to see whether that comes under the asbestos remediation. I know if there's a certain amount that you, and or if it's friable or not.
Right.
If you cannot, it looks like it's all loose, which means you can pick it up intact, which doesn't fall under the rules. I know if it's glued down, then you have to scrape it up, all that's wrong.
Yeah, or if it breaks on you.
Or if it breaks on it, so, but that's a very small, it used to be in what would be the old bathroom, lavatory in there. On the side actually that I would remove, because that's where there's a crack in the foundation of that part.
Okay.
If we use the reader building plot, that would be a good way to get rid of that kudzu vine. That's-
And that stuff is growing back, I know Dell said, you got rid of it, he was using it for bamboo or something.
Oh, I
No.
intentionally planted it?
Yes,
Oh.
and it just spreads, as you are aware. And it's now growing. Probably under our foundation, everything else.
It's keeping. the
And those
foundation.
fir trees, those pine trees are also, we removed the 3 pines in the back because they were dead.
Mhm.
Our ground is just not amenable to those trees after a certain period of time, so we removed those as well. There's a lot of reasons to remove the reader building. There's no good reason to keep it there.
We'll be talking more about this, I'm sure.
Yes.
I guess I think of one good reason to keep it, or not to keep it, but maybe to not build a new city hall in its place is because if we do end up rezoning that as a mixed use area, that could be commercial property that
That
somebody
could-
could rent.
It could very well be, and so now you're looking at the city hall as being potential commercial property. Whereas people might want to come in and say, you know what, this is a great place to put a business.
But would they be responsible for tearing down that building or would?
Those are, in my discussions about this a few years back, I was talking to Gary Pond. Gary Pond, you might see on a lot of he's the commercial real estate person up in Dallas. And I've known Gary for a very long time, and I was just talking about options. And one of them would be, he says, you could take it down and leave it at bare and say, we're at least to build.
Mhm.
He said he would not recommend though that we sell it. He'd recommend we lease it
Mhm.
on long term.
Mhm.
And so we retain the ownership of the property, but encourage commercial building to go there. he said that's actually a less expensive, but he also said that it would be to our benefit to remove the building.
Reader
Yeah.
building or city hall? Sorry.
Pardon?
Reader
City
building or
hall.
city hall?
City
hall.
Okay, thank you.
The reader building, I think Mark could take that down in about 5 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah,
probably
it
so.
wouldn't take much.
He would
If
have-
something doesn't before,
Yes.
he would have a lot of fun.
passing breeze, butterfly.
And it's not a structurally sound, well built, just not at this particular, in 2024, the best.
Probably over 100 years old.
Yeah,
So,
you don't see timber up there like you used to.
no,
Yeah,
it's probably a lot of clear timber in there.
There is, I would, that was one of my thoughts was, there's probably some salvageable.
That we could sell.
to sell.
true 2x4s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Truly
And
2 inch by 4 inch, right.
Yeah. Is there any way we can get like estimates for all these different options that'll help us decide?
Yes, there is, and and I will be happy to do that. I just want to make sure I gave you the report, and I think the next option is to start getting some pricing and options.
Yeah, because each option is gonna require some kind of temporary,
Solution.
yeah,
Yes.
in between,
Mhm.
demolition and stuff, so. But I mean, if we go the modular way, you can have that on order, ready to go, but, so,
I've talked to the modular, is it the modular solutions out of Eugene? They're a big West Coast,
Mhm.
3 days. And they said, well, I want, if they don't have it 3 days, they'll give you 7 days and they'll customize it the way we want. Out of Portland, that would come out of Portland. They have units that are used and ready to sell right now. Out of Eugene,
a lot of them are government used buildings.
government and schools.
Mhm.
The schools use them until they build something and then,
Right.
there you go.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks, Steve.
You're welcome.
So when do we replace this building?
This is such a nice building,
I know,
but unfortunately, it's the same.
are we gonna have the same issue?
We did stop by and he said, this building might be a lot different because these walls, we could actually, the way it's constructed, because it doesn't have that separate roof.
Mhm.
He says this one would be very amenable to taking these interior walls.
You probably just lose some square footage,
Right,
yeah.
and taking it out. Says your foundation looks like you probably could support that if you put some additional supporting down. He says this one, because it's easy access, and how it's designed and hasn't been added onto, would be a better alternative. And he said he'd be very happy to come down and do a better structural, provide that.
Because if we're gonna be using it, we need to be safe.
Safe.
Well, it's tough tearing down old buildings that,
Oh,
historic buildings and stuff.
Yeah,
And they're made with the brick from the, brickyard and stuff.
Right.
Cause I mean, even the city hall, if we tore it down, we probably could save the brick and you could cut it off to,
Particularly. the
you can cut them down to
facade.
use them for,
Right.
brick veneer or something on a new building or.
Something,
Yeah.
so it preserves some of it, because it's just heartbreaking to lose it, but.
It is.
yeah, well, at least it's not like Clement Falls was in 94. They lost a lot of historic buildings. so.
Wow, yeah, I remember that. My relatives stepped in.
Yeah.
Okay, we ready to move on to new discussion? 35 contract language.
Okay, so the 1135 is, remember, is the Avenue project.
Mhm.
And so between now and September 30th is the contracts. Okay, so no design, no building, just everyone wants contracts. So I did my review of the main contract, the draft contract. And then I asked William Porter, remember, he's the project manager for this, and some questions about, these are details, but they're important details, specifically. Okay, so we're going to, this project's gonna cost us about $3.2 million or so, give or take.
Not cost us, but just
Yeah,
cost.
cost is gonna.
The total
cost the
cost.
government. We have a cost share for that. And someone's gonna get grants for us, the Long-Term Watershed Council. And so the design phase, which is in the next federal fiscal cycle, 24, year 24, 25, is for designing all this. And then the design gets finished and they go out for bid, okay, for a contractor. And they're gonna manage a contractor to come in and actually remove the dam and do all the different work. So in the contract as it is written now, it says essentially that the Corps will monitor the amount of money that's being used, and if it looks like we're coming to the end of our pipeline here, they will stop the project, which is fine. I mean, that protects us from anything. Elliott says, however, that's not the case. He says, in fact, when they do this particular, he says all projects are different. And under their, how they work things, and this particular one, once the money is allocated, it's allocated. They will go ahead with it, and like most contracts, any cost overruns, it's a city owner's responsibility. And grants do not cover that. Grants specifically do not cover cost overruns. So, yes, they put contingency in, but what I'm getting from him now is, number one, I'd like the contract language to be revised to reflect what he told me rather than what's actually in writing right now. So he's having their attorneys redraft it. The second part is I'd like to make sure there's some place markers in there so that as we move through the design phase and we get to the actual, okay, guys, we're going to get ready to construct things, that if we run through our money, you know, the Corps has spent more money on the design than maybe what they thought they would, that there is at least enough money and the contingency sufficient that the city won't be on it. But at least an opportunity to review in the 25-26 federal budget cycle what it is going to cost us to make sure that we aren't going to be put on the, so even if you have a 5% of a $3 million project, you're looking at $150,000, and that would be tough for the city of Monroe, since that's a big chunk of our discretionary money. Yes,
Are
Councilman?
we completely past the saying no?
Oh, no, we haven't even, we haven't even signed anything.
Okay, because I was just like, oh, that's not. That's not how that was supposed to go. And aren't we like the first guinea pig?
There have not been very many 1135 habitat restoration projects authorized. We're one of, I think, 2.
Yeah, I'm kind of like,
And their
couldn't
contracts are not
somebody
just-
else be a guinea pig first? Because I don't know. I don't know. Anyway,
The
sorry.
contract was not specifically written, and my interrogatory with Elliott was, I think, you know, I hear what you're saying, and that's
Mhm.
fine, but you need to make sure that our contract language reflects that, so that when it's brought back to council, you know, it'll be going to our council, SEL,
Mhm.
before it goes to council CIL.
Mhm.
And so that our attorney has had a chance to review it and has weighed in, so that you have an
Yeah.
attorney's opinion as to what it is that you're looking at and what the obligations are. And particularly at the different stages, this has been broken up into 3 parts.
I was gonna say, this would just be the design phase. And so we would have a separate contract when we go into the construction
I'm hoping
phase.
that's how it is. That's not how it's currently written, though.
Oh, okay.
And that's
Yeah.
what concerned me.
Yeah.
Was that I wanted that design phase, okay, folks. Because the way it's written right now, there was a break in it. It's like, if we don't have the money, we'll just stop until we do get it, right? But that's not what Elliott told me, so I want to make sure that the language reflects that, so that we do have that opportunity to take a breath and say, okay, yes or no, and especially since the construction part.
That's the
not
part
gonna
that,
happen Until,
I was gonna say, and that's the part that would be the cost overrun. I mean,
exactly, not the design.
the design phase costs a good chunk of money, but it's not gonna be the same for the cost share as the construction.
And there seems to be a lot of money, I mean, there should be more than enough money available for that, and they did put a sizable contingency in. So I don't want to be overly, I don't want to be alarming, I just want to say that I think due diligence and making sure that we review it and have an opportunity to know that there are safeguards for us is important, particularly now since we have not signed anything yet.
The other piece of that is just, I mean, I know they're trying to save the fish and the lamprey and all that, but you know, they're saying those sloughs won't go down. They're saying it's not gonna, but what if it does? And who's gonna be liable for that and on the hook for that if it becomes a significant impact that they're, just kind of skipping over,
Well,
and so that's, that's the thing I think that bothers me the most is there's just so much on the other end of this that we can't see and don't really know. I mean, is our groundwater gonna be affected? There's a lot to that they're really not discussing or not addressing as far as I can see anyway. And so that's kind of frightening too.
Well, and there's one more aspect that you brought up. It's also, as I discussed this, during at the Benton County Joint Planning Meeting, because we had some very pointed questions about this. That we do not have a superior water right. The upstream irrigators have just as much right to the water as we do. And although the Corps of Engineers has in writing said that they will supply us with the necessary water, you also have to put an asterisk next to that saying, as long as there's water in Fern Ridge Dam to release.
Right.
Right.
So, and everyone who has told you this has also been very clear in saying that will never happen.
And didn't we buy extra shares or something? There
was a time when we did, but we were actually given. So right now there's a moratorium on water rights statewide. The state is not exercising. You can trade water rights, but you cannot get new water rights.
So that was
So that went away with
a magic.
the magic. Yeah. So what we have right now is 350 gallons a minute from the Long Tom River, 24/7, 365 days a year. And as I pointed out we're using about 19% of that share right now. So we have, from our viewpoint, plenty of water. It's currently the lowest we normally get is about 34 cubic feet per second, which is well over the 0.78. So 350 gallons a minute is 0.78 cubic feet per second. The Long Tom River at its low level, except for about 3 weeks in late August, early September, is somewhere between 24 and 30 historically cubic feet per second. So way over anything we would require.
You're talking about at this.
At our gauging
At
station.
our
It's
gauging
just
station.
right at the, that's
Yeah.
right, that's the.
Well, I know the initial concern is mostly the water level dropping so that, basically our current intake would be able to pull from.
And it couldn't, and that's why they have to redesign it.
Yeah.
And into more of an infiltration gallery that sits more under the river and captures that water. So the design I saw, the engineers, more than satisfy the 0.78.
Yeah. It's more of a horizontal pickup
Right.
than.
Than a vertical, right? We're not gonna have a pipe sticking up out of the
Yeah.
river there. That wouldn't last long.
No,
Yeah, we get about 36, this last year, we had 3,800 cubic feet per second at max flow. This year, a few years ago in 2019, it was over 4,000. So that whole channel was designed to move water and move it quickly, and it does. It's amazing. But anyway, I just want to let you know that, that they are going to, Elliot will be giving me, he sent an email today asking me who the signers would be on it. And so we can get the right thing. So he's, I think, getting ready to give that to us. In which case I will immediately send it off to our attorney and then pass it on to you folks.
Okay, thank you. So the next item on the agenda, was that covered in the
I
previous?
think so, yeah, use of the library building, and that's just basically the meeting. That's.
You did.
Was the discussion about the
We
meetings?
touched on it.
Okay.
And so that's under the discussion. The library director is very clear. I gave her what our process should be. And so felt that was something they would handle and take care of as the library. And there was no issue with them handling our request in that.
Okay.
And that's an important addition to that conversation. I don't want to make it sound as though we're reticent to do it. The director of the library wants to comply with
Okay, thank you. Next item is Republic Services Town Hall.
I guess that is what's on the 22nd council.
Oh,
That's what I remember now, is there was the town hall. We're talking about HR committee and the 22nd stuck on my mind is, so Ken Larson, Republic Services wanted to have a town hall here. I think he's gonna have it at the library, actually. In regard to the new services. And my comment to him, and I think I CC'd Mayor Sheets on this, was that the majority of calls that we've received in City Hall are either A, can we opt out of this? And the secondary comment is, you know, I don't have the internet, I don't have computers. I didn't hear about it. So those are the two comments that I've heard.
That's the 22nd at 6 p.m.
Yes,
Of May,
of May.
so we have the
And,
budget meeting on the 20th.
20th, correct. So I suggested at that point, I said, since those will probably be the bulk of your questions, not about food scraps and the recycling bins or anything else that we might, I plan on being there, but perhaps a counselor or two would be helpful to make sure that poor Ken doesn't get stuck with questions he
Right.
cannot answer.
I'm sorry, what day was that again?
22nd of May.
And could you send us a,
Sorry.
Yes, I will give
I'm
you
trying to think what, yeah,
one of those.
one of those.
Reminder, a schedule, plus he gave me information as well. I will forward that on to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I know they said they dropped off green bins.
I haven't seen any.
Or
I've
so
seen,
I did.
I've seen
Or I
some
got one.
City of Monroe communities
That's
on
the
Facebook
other
saying they got.
Yeah,
it.
I just got that.
It's going, like, every week they'll come down and start staging it.
Yeah.
And that's where some of the folks that came in, some of them did see it on our utility bill. If we put it in utility bill, you know, that's been.
Yeah.
So we've had several that said they've seen it there, and others saw it because either they or their neighbors started getting trash bins, and it's like, where did these come from?
I know that, I think the confusion that I saw on Facebook was a lot of them didn't realize they could downsize their garbage and pay less and basically pay the same and have weekly pickup on the recycle.
And each time they've come into City Hall from there, I actually go out and meet folks and tell them that, and Dawn does as well. So
Yeah,
we both give them the same message, that if you have us like a 65, now that you have a recycling bin and a yard debris, which can take food scraps to, you can maybe downsize to 35, and it's basically then a wash. And if you don't want to put, you know, you do not have to put your yard debris out if you don't use it. You can just keep it on the side of the house. Or you can ask them to take it back.
Yeah, I think they will pick it up because
They
I
will.
asked them about that and they said that they wouldn't have a problem. Correct me if I'm wrong. They were gonna raise the rates anyway. We're finally just getting equitable service to our neighbors, some of them even just right next door to us. And so it's not a whole lot different. And there really is no other game in town we've tried. So,
There is no gaming. You're absolutely correct, Counselor.
you
And
know, we're
not just that, but you're actually paying less than at the moment.
right.
And Rose paying less than every Benton County or Corvallis.
Yeah. So it's just been a tough thing all around with that whole situation, but at least this time they're offering something else to us.
Extra service for the increase. Yeah.
Right, right. So,
Cause they're down here once a week anyway, so why not?
right.
And recycle every week instead of once a month.
Yeah, I remember us trying to get it before. It was a hard no.
It was a hard.
It was a hard no. They weren't gonna give us eight. So, you know, at least it seems a little friendlier at this point.
It
than
does.
it has been.
And Ken has been very good at keeping us
Yes, he
involved.
has.
So
Yeah.
I think that's nice. It's nice having somebody actually does believe in customer service. So.
Thank you for working with me to have the city hall scheduled.
You're welcome.
We've
Just trying
been
to
talking about
make
it for a
sure
while.
folks, you get a lot of folks in right now asking a lot of different questions and, which is good. I mean, I'm tickled
Yeah, it's great people are engaged. and involved.
because there's been a lot of time, just like at our meetings, sometimes they're just crickets.
Well, that was the other comment was there weren't very many people at our town hall before.
I know, even though it was well advertised.
Okay, Any other questions or comments? Counselor Myers?
No, I'm good.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is community service.
So this is, every year we get an attorney or someone saying, hey, I've got a client, just, it's gonna be, it's been sentenced to community service. And what I would just wanted to have feedback from you on, so one comment I heard in times past, and this has not come up often, maybe in my time here as city administrator once, so this is the second time it's been brought up. And the comment before was, depends on what it is that they doing community service for.
Right.
Specifically, if they were involved in something that might be where they come into town and what they're really doing is scoping things out. We would prefer not to do that, or in the previous conversations, and this may have been even before this particular administration, was no. We just simply felt that the liability was too great for the city, even though, weighing the cost benefit. But I don't know if I've asked this question before because it comes up so rarely. Just trying to get your thoughts.
I have some thought. I know that before you became administrator, there was a time where they were talking about a prison crew. And county sheriffs asked us, and we said, who's going to be supervising them? And are we insured? And those answers were vague, and that's why we came no.
Okay.
I think
Like a chain gang
Yeah,
situation.
one thing I do know that is, the Monroe Cemetery Association has used community service for work out there on the cemetery, landscaping, basically, weed eating, mowing, trimming trees and brush. But it's only been done a couple times, maybe three times. So we might want to look at some of our organizations around and see if they're interested. The big thing about that is supervision and liability.
And so we're so short on, with this 3 staff, even if we have 4 staff, I mean, we're strung all over the place.
Well, I've supervised one for the cemetery, but, so, I mean, I would,
And I have in times past as well.
Yeah.
But I was also had
you had
much more
time.
support.
Yeah, but I think the biggest thing would be the liability part, and then, like I said, then you have to line out who's gonna supervise this person on this particular site. And it really should be somebody associated with whatever the property is.
Right.
So, I mean, because they know what needs to be done, that kind of stuff, and as long as you have backup to where they can call if something gets out of line, which it shouldn't. Usually these people that get community service like that shouldn't be violent type.
A huge risk.
Yeah,
Well, we do have projects such as up at the old reservoir area, the original reservoir area. We have that property that is right below the old reservoir that looks like it's belonged to someone else, but it's really ours. This has a lot of brush and weeds and things up there.
we're gonna have a trail through there at one time.
At one time we were, there's also opportunity to improve the Reservoir Heights Park. It's just one of our, we mow it, but we don't really do much else because we don't have any other resources. Would that be an appropriate area for somebody, who was, doing community service that was not, I'll ask more questions because it does concern me that we would have, anyone that, I don't want to threat to the community or,
No.
rumors to spread that we're, having.
Or even if it's something that needs supervision, and then it's basically like, okay, well now, yeah, you get an extra helper, but like Marker has to be up there with them to like make sure they're,
Actually, it costs money.
yeah,
we
and then
do have-
it costs, yeah.
Yeah, so what we do have is we do have Mark doing things, and myself for that matter.
Yeah.
And we dedicate certain hours and time to do that, and that, that would be the idea. They wouldn't be unsupervised.
Yeah, they'd have to
Yeah.
be, you cannot have community service without a supervisor.
No,
I
The
know, but I'm
supervisor
saying-
has to sign off on it.
Yeah,
But they don't
The
supervise,
supervisor could be working also.
right, but they don't
Yeah.
provide, if they're providing the person, they also don't provide the supervision. That
No,
seems
not community service.
interesting.
They would on a work group.
Work
There
crews.
would be a
Okay.
deputy, and but
That
I
makes-
also understand that's
gotcha.
about like the sheriff in Arstal, that's $1,000 a day.
Wow,
Sounds like this is more like an individual that has to do so many hours and
gotcha,
It's
basically
usually
it can get
over
signed off. Yeah, and it can get
like
signed
a
off
duty
by.
or something like that.
gotcha.
Do we have the ability, I mean, are we allowed to ask what somebody was incarcerated for, like what they, or not incarcerated, but what the,
Sentencing.
I
yeah,
believe we get a sentencing profile.
okay.
It's basically says this is what the person was charged with, this is, you know, and it's not gonna be specific necessarily,
Mhm.
but you're going to get what the individual, you know, was doing community service for, what they're.
Just thinking about schools and the library and kids and like.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, and that's the reason
That's the
why
one
I'm
that
thinking
worries.
somewhere out on the hill, up here, where we don't have.
You also-
proximity to-
PPE comes into question if there's power equipment and so forth, and
Right.
who supplies,
Or running a mower or
Yeah.
anything like that.
who provides the leather gloves for them if they're cutting brush and,
Yeah, those would all be ocean, we don't have to do that.
yeah,
Chaps, if you're.
so it's not cost free. Yeah.
You have to wear the proper.
Yep.
And be supervised by someone who understands.
Mhm.
Is that what you want?
Right.
I mean,
But if
You out
Mark
there,
is,
yeah, or-
I used to
if he
sell
was up there mowing and cutting and doing, then this person could be hauling and
helping.
And making it go
loading and
faster,
doing it, and that's what Mark was telling me, is, you know, he says, it's not the cutting and the trimming and all of that, it's, you know, picking it all up and getting rid of it
Yes.
afterwards.
being a gopher.
It's, I know.
Okay.
Well, if you're okay with that, then, and again, I'm thinking in very specific areas here, you're under supervision and. to me, I don't think that- Based on what I know, it's not gonna be someone who is violent or someone. who's-
Yeah, I know.
Normally do not release the community service. These are folks that have a doing something very minor, but rule of incarceration, they have to do community service.
I think we have enough work around here that we need done and could use the help, that it's definitely worth at least looking.
Painting the
into
reader
further.
building before we tear it down.
Right, right, I mean,
Yeah.
Paint
Yeah.
it first? Come on.
All right, thank you. I'll pursue it and under
Get some more
under that guidance.
Sounds good.
Moving on to review of business for, well, that should be the May 28th, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Council meeting.
So most of this, I think I left it on here.
Oh, yeah, 'cause
Right, it was
Memorial Day.
really, we were going to defer to like fees and that type of thing, and then pass it at the time. We'll pass it
Yeah.
For the fee schedules. and-
Somewhere here. Yeah, land use codes need to be addressed by the ordinance committee, and finance was supposed to integrate rentals and all those other fees.
Right, we're gonna do that in the budget committee, and pass it as a the attorney had recommended.
In the
That way
budget.
you have full, public involvement, because the Oregon statute says if you change fees, you gotta give the public an opportunity to comment.
Do we have any community volunteers for budget committee?
I have not received it.
I haven't been able.
Sheets, have you?
So, Counselor Williams has been.
My
Troy?
daughter will do it too.
Oh, okay.
That's true.
I know,
For,
Chair Cuthbertson was also going to be on the
Okay.
committee as well.
The budget
Oh,
committee.
for
Budget
what?
committee?
Oh, budget committee, yes.
Yeah.
I apologize, yes.
I tried all my neighbors.
Yes.
Struck out.
So I think both Troy and Fred were here last year, and that's great.
And there's still spots,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, I think at least one more, I think.
We usually go 6 and 6.
We can have up to the number of
Yeah, you want,
counselors.
you
So
want,
could have seven, you could have up to 7 votes. We have 2, so we have 4, we have 5 more openings. Come on down.
It's the least intensive
Yes.
it's like 2 or 3
committee
meetings,
ever.
Yeah.
It would be
Well, I shouldn't say
so,
least intensive.
low commitment.
You get to listen to the money and decide.
It can get intense.
It can, it depends on. So far, I have everything balanced.
well, and it's good too, because like you learn a lot. There's a lot people really just don't get about how the city budget works. And so it answers a lot of questions for people who are like, why does the city do this? Why doesn't the city spend money on this? Why doesn't the city it really puts a lot into perspective. So it's
It
a
does.
great learning experience for people if they'll take that opportunity
The
for,
opening.
for a very small period of time.
Right, it's like our public works budget, you know,
Mhm.
that's what handles our buildings, yet it has zero funding except from the general fund.
Right.
And so once you start taking in parsing thing, you know, you cannot take the water funds to pay for janitorial services. for instance.
Your dog ear.
And you learn those things, you know.
Right.
in the budget. But we do have a good, nice, healthy water fund
Yeah, good.
and sewer fund. So
It's gonna be needed though.
and stormwater,
Or you
and
can
it's
get right on with it.
stormwater
There's
and
projects that are-
and, streets that will have to be separated as well. We're trying to figure that out.
Alright.
So it's just basically you don't have a lot of extra for anything else.
We have a stormwater fund too, don't we?
Yes, we do. Well, now we do.
Now
It
we-
was integrated at Public Works. The
Right.
auditor says absolutely no.
No, it should have always been.
It should have always been. as
Well, we
long
always
as
had a
it
separate fee
was.
for it too, so it's both.
The gold bonds from that did go into separate, but anyway, this year will be. At this point in time, might be a lot of discussion on other areas.
Okay.
I don't think we'll be ready for, we won't be ready for a budget.
Of course, that's-
You know, so it should be a very, I hope a nice Memorial Day, and there might be other things to discuss, there might be more discussion on other issues. I don't have any other resolutions at this point.
Okay.
To come forward.
We'll have an initial budget on the 20th for the,
Yes, you will, you'll have a draft.
or a draft budget of whatever you came up with to balance out right now.
And a budget message as well.
Okay.
And it is listed as a public hearing, we have published it online. Published it. It'll be posted around town this week. This response.
Post office and stuff.
And
Okay.
second, you can confirm whether it's here or at the library.
It'll be at the library.
It will be at the
That is
library.
confirmed, yes.
Oh. Sorry, I didn't understand
No,
that.
that's fine, sorry.
That's Republic Services.
I mentioned this one first and then realized that it had already been scheduled.
Ken told us about that. Anything else? Any other business we need to discuss? Okay.
Nope.
Maybe Mayor and Counselor Rich can stay on so we can schedule an HR personnel committee meeting since I've heard. Yeah,
That's fine.
thank you.
If that's it, we're done. Thank you very much.
And
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Work session.